Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. We up in here. We're bringing it back. Part 2. Feel good history. We're getting back into it. Dr. Amos Wilson. How positive black propaganda became our drug. Part 2. Go ahead and come on up in here. Happy Saturday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're getting back into it because we've put ourselves in a hole. We know white supremacy is the root of our problems, but we've also put ourselves in a hole. And we got to dig ourselves out of this hole. Those of us who care, we got to dig ourselves out of this hole. So we're getting into this positive propaganda. We're talking about it again. We're examining Dr. Amos Wilson, where we're learning from him, rather. Learning more from Dr. Amos Wilson, one of our, I would say, one of our most underrated scholars, because Dr. Amos Wilson is not as popular as others, and his work is not as widespread as others, even though if you're in the right circles, you're going to see his work and hear his work all the time. Of course, over here, you know, we're going to praise his name. We're going to sing his praises, all those things here, because the work is relevant. The work is important. So we're going to keep getting into it. So starting off with a video from Hype News, talking about what's going on with the government shutdown and the EBT, the cutting off of the EBT, the food stamps and stuff. So we're going to start with that because we put ourselves in the hole. We put ourselves in the hole, right? Make sure you hit that like button as you come in. Jump in the comments. Say hey when you come in. Hit that notification bell, subscribe, share this video, hit that hype button, super chat, all that stuff. We getting into it. It's Saturday. You know how we get down on Saturdays. So we, like I said, we start with this video from Hype News of how black people are going crazy because they're cutting off the food stamps and the SNAP and all this stuff. But we put ourselves in a position to where we're dependent upon somebody else to take care of us. And a big part of that is we've had waves and waves and waves of scholars to come through and give a lot of information. Most of the scholars gave us information to make us feel better about our position. And it was needed. Even Dr. Amos Wilson acknowledged that it was needed. But not many scholars. There's only a handful of scholars that actually gave us solutions that can help us change our situation. For the most part, those scholars were ignored. For the most part. Well, vastly, those scholars were ignored. The ones who caught people's attention and had the largest followings didn't necessarily have the solutions, but they could make you feel good. So we put ourselves in a position, and the historical knowledge, the metaphysical knowledge, all that stuff, it even spread to the hood. I know because I was in the hood. So let's get into a Hype News, man. We're going to start off with how people are going crazy because they're cutting off these food stamps. Then we're getting into Dr. Amos Wilson because that's what we came here for. But we know we got to set it up right. So let's do what we do. Y'all, please hit that like button.
Live from Breakfast Club in Atlanta for Hype Plus News, I'm John Abba.
I got 9 kids to feed, 9 babies, and I want to know why they ain't put my food stuff on their car.
Troubling news coming out of parts of the country as millions are in jeopardy to not receive food stamps next month if the government shutdown continues. To be exact, roughly 42 million people will be affected when it is expected that the food stamp program will officially run out of money in just 2 weeks. This news was officially revealed by Agriculture Secretary at the White House last week. It has been 20 days since the recent government shutdown was first announced, and both parties continue to be at odds over some core issues like Obamacare and Medicaid. According to reports, the Democrats have refused to vote for a short-term measure to fund the government in an attempt to force the Republicans to restore previous cuts to Medicaid and Obamacare. Now, this move by the Democrats have had many Republicans, including Rollins, to call them out for jeopardizing the current food and health of millions of Americans. Rollins herself would take to X and write, "Because of the Democrat shutdown, there are not enough funds to provide SNAP for 40 million Americans come November 1st. Democrats are putting free health care for illegal aliens and their political agenda ahead of food security for American families. Shameful." Now, as mentioned at the top of this report, millions may go without a way to provide food for themselves and have already taken to TikTok and other social media sites to share their frustration and fears.
Listen to this.
One woman reportedly was even filmed going to her local EBT offices to confront workers on her food stamps not being available and needing it for her kids.
I need to know what's going on. I got 9 kids to feed, 9 babies. And I want to know why they ain't put my food stuff on their card. I done been waiting, I done did my application. And I got 3 handicapped babies. I need to know why my food stamps ain't on my card. This ain't fair, I don't care about no shutdown or none of that. But I've been calm, I've been calling, everybody ignoring me. I done been here 3, 4, 5 times. I want to know why ain't my food stamps on my card.
Now, others who receive food stamps would take to social media and aired out their frustrations.
I'm gonna tell y'all straight up like this. I just got that text that the link is definitely cut the fuck off for November. Y'all better stay the fuck out of my way in these stores. I'm walking out with carts and I'm not paying for shit. Trump, if you want motherfuckers start looting, what's gonna happen? Before my kids go broke in this bitch like Jock, I'm gonna be stealing like it ain't no tomorrow. I am going to go in that store, get everything I get regularly. I'm going to bag my shit up, swipe my link card. As soon as that bitch say, ain't no pending balance on there, I'm going to walk the out. And I'm going to have one of my cousins with me that'll punch your ass so hard, you going to think a Jet 2 holiday hit your bitch ass if you think I ain't finna walk out that stuff.
It's been day 5, and I have not received no food stamps. My disability check is on hold.
Why would you take away these people benefits? We literally just had to go home because everybody came into my grocery store. I work at Walmart. Everybody came into Walmart bum rushing, stealing, like filling up buggies, running out the store, like just putting all the groceries in their cart because he want to cut off my food stamps. Y'all, this shit is crazy. Like, I think y'all are getting y'all food stamps in November, or maybe some of y'all is not, but like, they literally just had to like do emergency evacuation at our store because everybody came in going crazy over like food for their kids and shit.
When it comes to some who don't receive food stamps, they will also offer their own perspective about the whole situation and food stamp shutdown. One man would point out how even those who don't receive food stamps will be affected, as he noted that there will be a chain reaction to those who supply food, like grocery stores, butchers, and farmers.
But just think about how big of a freaking disaster it's going to be on our economy, man. All it's going to take is just 1 month of people not getting their food stamps, and watch what happens in those grocery stores. Those meat prices is going to drop.
Now, outside of those who empathize for those who may lose their food stamps next month, some appear to not be so concerned, as one woman on X would write, an unpopular opinion that should be popular. If you can afford $100 nails, $100 fake lashes, and $200 hair extensions and the newest iPhone, then your food stamps need to be taken away. Now, unfortunately, this comment may mislead who food stamps impacts the most by mentioning extensions and fake lashes. According to the FRAC, white Americans make up 37% of food stamp participants, while black Americans make up 26%, followed by Hispanic Americans at 16%. Now, this recent announcement looks to be coming at an unfortunate time, as Thanksgiving, known as an event that highlights food and family, is taking place next month. According to reports, the only way to prevent this food stamp shutdown is if the government shutdown ends or the Trump administration figures out where to find the money to feed these 42 million people. Let's talk about it more in the comments below. Do you think the government needs to make food stamps a priority over other issues, or do you agree with the Democrats' move to reinforce Obamacare and Medicaid? Save the day for the latest news in comedy, culture, and sports by subscribing here to our YouTube channel and follow Hype Plus across all social media. And if you enjoy content like this, check out hypersclub.com to get a membership to watch full interviews and more original content. And of course, if you have a story you think we should cover, send us a message now at hypealerts.com. Reporting live from
We in trouble. So Dr. Claude Anderson told us that this was coming. He said it's gonna come a time where black people gonna be in a position where we gotta rob, beg, or borrow. Talked about it in Powernomics. He talked about it in his lectures. It's gonna come a time where we got to beg, borrow, and steal because we have not built anything for ourselves. The question on the table today is, out of all this history that we've learned, out of all the history that you have learned, what is the greatest lesson that you've learned from history, and how have you applied it in your life? What is the greatest lesson that you've learned from studying Black history, African history? What's the greatest lesson you've learned, and how have you applied that lesson into your life? That's the question that's on the table today. What's the greatest lesson, and how have you applied it? My man Ricardo Float is in the building. I do know one thing: there are millions of people that were allowed in this country that had billions hurled at them by Dems. Relieve them of government subsidy first. And what about the elderly who need? No, you're right. Like, the government is definitely not prioritizing Black people anymore. Things have changed. Once again, Dr. Claude Anderson told us about that. Things have changed. There's more white folks. Right. But it is definitely going to affect us, and it's going to affect a lot of us. It's going to affect a good number of us. But at the same time, using this as an example to show that this is what happens, like a great deal of your population can be negatively affected by government decisions when you depend on the government, when you haven't built anything for yourself, when you just consume the information and just intellectually masturbate the information and not actually use the information. Do you even know what you've learned from consuming the history? Or we just caught up in a place where, hey, I know these facts. I know these historical facts. So here I am, and I'm smarter than you. I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm the blackest person in the room. But yet, I've built nothing, don't know how to build nothing, can't sustain nothing. We don't have any infrastructure. We don't have none of that stuff. But and I'm guilty of it too. We know this history. We know this history. We can spout this history off top of our heads, but we can't save ourselves. We can barely feed ourselves. Matter of fact, we can't feed ourselves. If the groceries, not just the food stamps being cut off, but if grocery stores shut down, how we gonna eat? I was having a conversation earlier, and I know here in my city, in the hoods, and a lot of the hoods, they have community gardens that none of the people take advantage of. I talk about it all the time. We're talking about it for years. Community gardens exist and nobody's taking advantage of them. We don't know how to grow our food. We don't know how to cultivate anything. We don't know how to sustain ourselves. We don't know how to lift ourselves up, but we do know how to depend on others. We do know how to beg others. We do know how to assimilate. And that's a good deal of our problem. Mentally, we don't have the wherewithal to take care of ourselves. We don't have the wherewithal to make sure that our survival is our highest priority. That's backwards. But let's go ahead and get into this Dr. Amos Wilson, because it's a pretty long video, and I want to go ahead and make sure we get enough of this in, because last week we were doing a lot of talking, but make sure we get enough of this in. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Picking up on this Dr. Amos Wilson's Feel Good History. So you know how we do. Let's get to rolling. And remember, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share. The great Dr. Amos Wilson. Let's go.
Called ancient did what? Evolved and moved over time. So there's no reason for us today to believe that we have to stay stuck in time. We use and we take and we maintain the essence of those cultures, the central identity that those cultures provide us, the lessons that those cultures have taught us, and we conquer new ground.
But we're not doing that.
And we Africanize new territory. And it's the whole world that we can claim for Africa. The world that has gone in the past, and we want to, but the world to come. We are a two-sided people in the sense that we have two sides to our brains. African thought is not circular only. Mm-hmm. Europeans have no claim over linear thinking. And to be an African person does not mean that you have to be anti-linear in your thought processes. God gave you two sides of a brain here. One side is intuitive, holistic, spiritual, and so forth in its approach to the world. And the other side is analytical, critical, abstract, logical, objective in its approach to the world. The brain has a set of nerves that attaches both sides of the brain that we call the corpus callosum, plus a number of other connections, the anterior commissure, the posterior commissure, which means that these sides of the brain were meant to do what? Communicate one with the other and to complement each other. That the human being is not meant to stay totally in one side of the brain and say, this side is the African side, I will ignore the other side.
Right.
We can't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who studied deeply science, how science actually operates, has recognized that science operates based on intuition. Don't confuse the reading of scientific papers with how people come to arrive at scientific ideas. You see, often when you write the paper, you can say, well, you know, I was laying up in my bed one night, and suddenly this dream came to me, and it all came together, and well, you don't hear that part in it, but that happens, doesn't it? It happens all the time. Or I was just talking to this guy, one word, oh, wow, cued it off, or something like that. In fact, what you want to do if you want to be creative is to work very, very hard at the problem. Go at it by every means possible. Saturate yourself with it. Try to work it through and leave it alone. And often then the unconscious mind will sweep it right into your consciousness as a holistic thing. Then you sit down and write it according to what? The scientific method. You see, and you work out what? Its logic and the basis for it, and you rationalize it on what? Logical principles, rational principles. Then you may set up what? Crucial experiments and so forth and so on, you see, and work this through. But sometimes we confuse this because we read scientific papers, we read the order, and we read the rational approach, and we think that is the only way people arrive at scientific things. No, science truly works with an interaction between the intuitive and the logical. Between.
So in our terms, with the two sides of the brain interacting together, gathering in the information and taking action. Taking action after you've gathered the information, learned it, understood the information, and moving forward and taking action with it. Not just intellectually masturbating with the information. Oh, I know everything about Egypt. You don't know nothing about Egypt. Yeah, but you can't fix none of your current problems in your life. But you know everything about Egypt. Oh, I know everything about Frederick Douglass's life. I know everything about the abolitionists. I know everything about history. I'm a historian too. I love history. History is my favorite subject, but we got to be able to use the information that we have. And if we've never learned how to do that, then we just going to continue to be oppressed, weak people on the bottom. PC up in the building. What's going on, PC? I appreciate you for tuning in. What's going on, my man? 1963 Bush woman, how you doing? Happy Saturday to you. Happy Saturday. Thank you for being up in the building. You know, using both sides of our brains, using logic, using the intuition, using the logic, right? Putting two and two together. Wouldn't it be logical to use your information to help you? I'm just saying, wouldn't that be logical? That's what he's talking about, using both sides of the brain. Wouldn't it be logical to gather this information and then try to use it, especially if you don't like your conditions? If you see that you have a group of people who have historically warred upon you, who their mission is to keep you down, their mission is to keep you oppressed, keep you docile, keep you on the bottom. Matter of fact, move you further down the social ladder, like Dr. Claude Anderson told us. We've moved further down the social ladder. And one of the main contributing factors to us moving further down the social ladder is our our lack of action. I'm just saying. The protagonist 8764. The greatest history I've learned is we should have built economic empowerment over social integration. I'm listening to platforms such as OTSOG to learn how to build economic empowerment. I appreciate you, the protagonist. That's what we do over here. But I ain't doing it by myself. Shout out to Professor Carl Tone Jones. Shout out to Patrick Irvin and all the guests that come on this channel. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, PC, we need this practical application. We don't have it. So that's one thing I love about my OGs is my OGs have rooted me in practical application. Like, no, stop talking and go out and get it. Like my man Sam Carter was talking about, like the hood don't need no more broke mentors, no more theory. We up to our neck in theory. We don't need no more broke mentors, no more theoretical type people to come and say, hey man, I read this and I studied this and I got this information and I can tell you how fast the Mississippi River flows. I can tell you how fast the blood flows in the body, but you can't help me fix my problems. The hood ain't changed. The hood ain't getting better. Renee Woods in the building. What's going on? Nah, hey, it ain't no such thing as tardiness over here. We in here. It don't matter. We're going to be here for a while, so we in this thing. Thank you for being in here. But enough of my talking. Let's go ahead and let Dr. Amos Wilson keep teaching. Y'all please hit that like button as well.
The feeling and spiritual and the concrete. And I'm saying that because it's very, very important. I get sometimes some thoughts out here that wants to make us one-sided and make us reject all of the possibilities that we have been given to use the whole of our brain.
Right.
And I tell you, our advantage as African people will be if we can be the first people to use all. Yes. Let the other one stay on the left and let some stay on the right. Let's be able to move from what? Left to right.
There you go. And that's what we do over here. We use both sides of our brains. We use our spiritual gifts, our intuition, our ancestral connections. We use that too, but we pair it with logic. We pair it with reason. That's what Dr. Amos Wilson talks about. That's what Neela Fuller talk about, making the most logical decisions, making the most logical movements, having logical actions. Wouldn't it be logical to learn how to fix your situation? Wouldn't it be logical to not depend on your oppressor? Wouldn't it be logical to be in control of your own destiny? I'm just saying that would be logical, using both sides of the brain. But that's what we do over here, though. So that's why I love y'all and I appreciate y'all, because we logical over here. We got our intuition and we got our logic.
Is what? Appropriate. This is the captain of the ship. I've told you about Star Wars, and you have a what? Left-sided, right-sided situation there with Mr. Spock exemplifying what? The left side, and Bones representing what? The right. He's full of feeling and love and brotherhood and spirit. No, that's fine. It has its place, but it limits him too. His emotions overrun his better judgment often. His feeling gets out of place. But of course, then we see Spock over there, whose lack of feeling also causes him problems as well, you see. And so they are both limited by the fact that they're too much into one side of their heads. Mm-hmm. Kirk is the what? Is the balancer. He utilizes what? Both sides and their talents. And that's why he's what? The captain of the ship and is in control of the situation, you see.
So that was very significant what he just said. The one in control uses both sides of the brain. The ones not in control, specifically us, have been programmed to not use both sides, to not be in that mindset of being in control of being the one who's the captain of our destiny. We've been programmed to be followers. We've been programmed to just consume and want more and want people to give us what we should be producing for ourselves. That was significant. Dr. Amos be deep. I'm telling you, please hit that like button for Dr. Amos Wilson.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see then, an African-centered way of thinking involves the use of both sides of your mind.
All right.
And using them appropriately. And to the degree that we can use both sides of our minds appropriately, to that degree we will become captains of this ship that we
Hallelujah.
live on called Earth and of this universe.
Hallelujah.
Yes, and we must keep that in mind. Simply because we found some of our cultures, and those cultures may have been very spiritual and so forth, does not mean that that's the only side of our lives that we have to develop. We have to also look at the characteristics a people exhibit in terms of their whole ecological situation, you see, and see then the characteristics of their thought styles and approaches to the world within the context in which they were acting. You see, you just can't go in there and say, well, this is the way they were behaving, this is the African way, this is the way I'm going to behave. No, those ways reflect the ecological situation. As that situation would have changed, so would their ways of thinking change, you see. And it's very, very important that we keep that in mind. We must ask the degree to which certain styles of thoughts and approaches, even if they are African and have been exhibited by African people, are appropriate to the solving of our problems today. We must not be afraid to appropriate any form of thought that will advance our interests as people, regardless of where they come from. Because as soon as we do that, as soon as we appropriate any form of thought or any instrument to serve African interests, to serve African survival, to serve us as an African people, that instrument becomes transformed and becomes Africanized, and it becomes what? Ours, you see? And we have to recognize that and keep that in mind. We need.
There you go, Ricardo.
Thinking
there you go. Let me know if my mic sound messed
Does that
up a
mean
little
that
bit
we
because
forget
my thing messed
the
up.
intuition? Not at all.
If you hit me good, please let me know.
Does that mean we
there
forget
you go,
the oral
Ricardo.
tradition? Not at all. But it means then
Everyone
that
can do
while
something.
maintaining those traditions, we also must enhance other aspects of our personality. We want to look a bit at culture. What is culture? And we should ask this again. I admire Chancellor Williams very much. And I think the destruction of Black civilization, of course, is a magnificent book, and I've said many times, though I think many people read it incorrectly. They read it as history, which it really is not, per se. It is, as he stated very clearly, a set of case studies. And
Appreciate y'all, just making sure I'm good. But peep what he's getting into about destruction of Black civilization, because you know when we were doing our reading, when we were reading that book, I'm with Dr. Amos Wilson. Like it was an outline, it was a blueprint, it was a recounting of African encounters with outsiders, like what happened when we encounter the worst of ourselves and outsiders, and how we've always been treated, and how we've always been gullible, and how we've always put ourselves in the position to be conquered when it came to dealing with the outsiders, even going back to the formation of the first kingdom in Egypt when they let the outsiders in. So not to cut them off, but profound what he getting into. And thank y'all for letting me know about my mic.
Analysis of African culture and of African history with the question in mind, in what way did these cultures or this history advance our interests as a people, and in what way did this history fail us as a people as well? And we have to look at it that way.
Right.
What were the problems represented by
Right.
African cultures,
Right.
such that we permitted ourselves to be overrun by.
So one of the main things that Chancellor Williams talked about in that book was when African people turned away from their native code of conduct, when African people started to behave in the ways of others, when they allow others to come in and influence their culture. Matter of fact, just allowing others to come in, period. But when they allow others to come in and influence their culture, and they turned away from their own African-centered codes of conduct, that was the beginning of the fall of all of those civilizations. And it was one after another over a 6,000 year period. So, I mean, like, man, look, Dr. Amos Woodson be on point.
Europeans, and we find ourselves in the situation that we find ourselves tonight. Understand? It's no insult for us to ask that question of ourselves. And it's no insult for us to look critically at African history and culture and to be critical of it. It is only through our being critical of our history and our culture that we can advance our interests as a people and survive as a people.
Right.
Looking at the question, what is culture? Horton and Hunt said from their life experiences, a group develops a set of rules and procedures for meeting their needs. The set of rules and procedures together with a supporting set of ideas and values is called a culture. To a great extent, you see, a culture involves a set of rules and a procedure.
See, so getting back to what Ricardo was saying, tied into what Dr. Amos Woodson is saying, yes, the ball was definitely dropped because the code was not passed down. The code was broken and forgotten, especially after the invasion of the Europeans. But remember, by the time the Europeans got there, the African people was all fought out by the time the Europeans got there. They had been fighting invaders from the east and some invaders from the north. And then the white folk came in and that was all fought out, right? But the codes of conduct, the African codes of conduct were forgotten. The African codes of conduct, actually, a lot of people turned their backs on those African codes of conduct, on those codes that those civilizations created for themselves. They turned their backs on them. And then when that was conquered, there was no more code to pass because the people was dispersed. A lot of stuff happened. Yeah, you're right. A lot of stuff happened. This is why it's imperative that we study the words of our elders and care. Yes. Stop thinking that we got all the answers. How we got the answers and we have no solutions? How you have the answers with no solutions? That don't make sense. That's not logical.
For meeting needs, and this is the thing we have to keep in mind. You don't have a culture just to have a culture.
Right.
And you don't claim a culture just because it's a culture or just because it's African.
Right.
The ultimate thing that culture must do is solve problems. That's why people evolve a culture. That's why culture comes into existence as a way of what? Solving problems and meeting needs. That's why, at a certain point, when a culture no longer meets the needs of a people or solves the problem confronting a people, that culture must be transformed. There's nothing sacred about holding a culture in the face of.
So our Friday breakdown. I was looking at some of the comments. Now, I saw somebody saying that they don't like those type of conversations that we had because we were looking at the quality of Black relationships throughout the years, and the quality of our relationships is linked to the actual culture that we have and the quality of the culture that we have. We got to blow it up and start it over because the current culture that we have is not a culture that's conducive for us to solve our problems. It's a culture that keeps us locked into our problems. You know, a lot of people are like, well, we don't have no culture. No, we have culture. Just may not be the best culture, but hell, your culture ain't good either because your culture not helping you solve your problems either. Name me the group of Black people on this planet that has a culture that is actually solving their problems. There may be one or two exceptions, We know what Traore and them over there are doing. But that's an exception. For the most part, name me the African coaches, name me the diasporic coaches that are problem-solving coaches that can solve the main problem of white supremacy, that can solve their dependency problem on the system of white supremacy. Name me the culture anywhere in the world of black people. So people like, well, you, because I saw somebody like, well, you agree, y'all agree with Frank Zano. Nah, we got culture. We're just honest enough to say that our culture is not the best culture, but are you honest enough to do the same thing? Because across the world, black people are on bottom. So if across the world, black people are on bottom, the cultures ain't working. So across the world, we got to start over.
You know, new events and new changes. Unless, of course, you're free to do that if you're willing also to accept suicide or death. And you have that right to that choice. You know, I tell people, you know, we have the right to say, look, we're going to hold on to this culture even if it kills us. But we should be what? Very conscious of our decision. We should not be holding on to it out of a misunderstanding of what culture is supposed to do.
So, and linking it to what Renee is saying, yeah, so we are better than that. But we've been programmed so horribly that we don't know that we're better than that. So we got to remember, we got to dig deep into our memory to remember who we are and where we come from and what we're capable of. Because we are better than that. We're better than this culture that we have. We're better than this behavior that we display. We're better than the presentation that we give the world. But we got to shake off these cobwebs. We got to get these chains off of our brains.
Ultimately, culture is supposed to solve problems and to meet the needs of the people. And a culture then has to be measured against those standards. Does this culture meet our needs? Does it solve our problems? Chancellor Williams, in a sense, then looked at the African cultures, looked at African characteristics, and looked at them in terms of in what way did they meet our needs, and in what way did they deal with the slave trade and colonialism and the other kind of things that happened to us as African people. And after going through that, then he set up what? The plan, which a lot of people don't read. Which is the whole point of what?
Right, that's the last part of the book.
That's the whole point of the book. Not the first part, but really the second part.
Right.
Looking at our culture and our history critically, he then, and looking at our situation and where we are today as a result of that history and of those cultures, he then draws out a map for a plan, a way for us to what? Get out of our situation and to restore African civilization and to restore African people.
But we looked over that part. We forgot that part. We ignored that part because that take work. You know, work don't feel good. You know, work make you sweaty. Your hands might get bruised up, you know, you might get dirt on you. So you're gonna be tired. You got to take a couple baths throughout the day. So, you know, work takes a lot out of people. So when it comes to having to do work, we don't like the scholars that actually give us work to do. We don't like scholars that want tangible outcomes and actions. We don't like those scholars because it doesn't make us feel good. It don't give us our fix.
But it's at that point most people sort of move on,
right,
to something else.
Right.
This is the place you must study. And we're going to include that in our power studies, by the way. That plan, along with some others. The sets and rules and procedures together with a supporting set of ideas. Cultures are not just ways people sing and dance and what they eat and how they dress and the rituals and so forth that they perform. These ways of behaving and dressing and so forth are based on sets of ideas and values. And ultimately, in a deeper sense, it's this set of ideals and values that lay the basis for culture. Cluckarn and anthropologists indicated that culture is all the, and he defined culture as all the historically created designs for living, explicit and implicit, rational, irrational, and non-rational, which may exist at any given time as potential guides for the behavior of man, for the behavior of the people. In other words, culture creates designs as a result of its history for living and provides guides for its members.
It creates designs from the history and provides guides for its members. So looking at our history and looking at our behavior, we are supposed to behave in the insidious and insane manners that we behave. So for those of us who don't behave in those manners, that means we have taken a critical look at ourselves, or in addition to coming up in structures, but also making the decisions ourselves to be better, to be black people and not niggas, to not stick with the programming, because you can make the choice to override the programming. That's why 100% of us don't behave like niggas, but enough of us do, and significant ones. But too many of us are so confused about the system of white supremacy. We really believe that learning the history is the only thing we need to do to liberate ourselves. Just learn the history. So what about the application of what you learned, and what did you learn from the history? I got a question. I got a Q&A question up. My Q&A question. What did you learn? What's the greatest lesson that you learned from studying Black history? What's the greatest lesson you learned? Please go answer that question that's in the chat. So Ricardo says, when I brought my first car and worked all summer for that money, I felt like I owned the world and could accomplish anything. I never forgot that feeling. It was a high to me. Yeah. Being able to be self-sufficient. Man, when the checks come in from things that I've done, from what I created myself, when those checks come in, you can't tell me nothing. I'm on top of the world. That's a reminder that I have the ability to create everything that I want. Like when you make money off of what you've created from your brain and from your sweat and your hands and your tears, oh man, that's a whole different feeling. I'm with you, Ricardo and Renee. I'm with you. Independence, man, true independence. Our culture is supposed to be like this because remember how we were engineered and constructed. So
for behaving, as a set of the guides for designing, for guiding the behavior of its members, a culture provides standards of proper cognitive, emotional, and behavioral conduct. Culture provides a set of norms and concepts of what is to be expected to exist, why we expect them to exist. Though culture is a product of actual experience, culture is essentially ideological, meaning that it essentially exists in the mind, because culture ultimately is based on the sharing of beliefs and customs and expectations. We receive our culture as a result of, as a part of our social heritage. To the degree that the individual identifies or is at one with this culture, and to the degree to which the members of a culture identify with it, culture is represented in the minds of its people. In other words, we have to recognize deeply that culture cannot exist outside of ourselves.
Appreciate you, Chisel Chipper.
It only can exist in our minds and in our bodies as a people. And therefore, to a great extent, it is ideological more than it is physical, more than it is behavioral, more than it is just ways of dressing. Ultimately, a culture must be represented in the very minds of a people. And it is only through its representation as a mental entity that a people can identify with a culture. A culture is a way of thinking, a way of attending the world, of perceiving the world, of classifying and categorizing the world, of ordering the world, of processing information, and of evaluating the world. When we say then that the Europeans decultured us or distorted our culture, we are also saying then that the Europeans have distorted our modes of attending, of attending the world, our modes of experiencing the world, our modes of classifying and categorizing the world, our modes of processing information that comes from the world. So there's no little wonder then that we are having problems in what some people call education.
Right.
Particularly as it is Eurocentrically designed. That our children are perceived as having problems in thinking skills and math skills and science skills and so forth. Because ultimately, you see, culture provides you with a frame for thinking. It provides you with a structure for organizing information, for classifying information, for evaluating information.
Appreciate that comment, Jasmine. That is significant. The greatest lesson I've learned is how generational family secret silence and gatekeeping from the adults to the child have repeated. Right. We haven't broken those cycles, right? No excuses or blames parents, but learn from 1% wealthy blacks. I'm just saying, like, we gotta be better. We have to treat each other better. We have to treat family better. But going back to what Dr. Amos Wilson is saying, we were programmed to behave like that. We were programmed to be degenerate. We were programmed to have destructive patterns. We were programmed to have destructive behavior, destructive thought patterns, to hate each other, to hate ourselves, to even see our own family members as enemies, like to see something that you've birthed as an enemy. That's one of the greatest tragedies that has happened to us. Chisel Chipper said, the greatest lesson that I've learned is I am somebody, I'm worth something, I can be great, I will be great. There you go. There you go. And just put it all into action. There we go. I appreciate y'all comments. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. What is the greatest lesson that you've learned from studying Black history? I need you in the comments. There's 26 people in here. I need y'all comments in there. Let's get it going.
You see, for processing information. And when you distort a people's culture, then you distort their capacity to appropriately organize information and deal with it. And this is what has happened to us. This is the reason why I say again and again that the problem of education, in terms of the problems our children have in schools, are not education problems. They are political. They only express themselves as educational problems. The problems our children may have in paying attention, thinking so-called logically, categorizing, classifying, in terms of vocabulary and so forth, are really not academic problems. They are cultural problems, and they are the result of political interactions. Because in transforming our sense of who we are and what we are, and in transforming our culture, so was our thinking and so forth transformed as well. This is why ultimately the educational problems of our people will have to be solved in terms of cultural transformation.
Right. And add to that is one of the main reasons why we've never been able to use the lessons that we've learned from history is we've not been acculturated to be solution-oriented people as a whole. You may have some individuals who are solution-oriented, but we've never been taught to be solution-oriented. We've always been taught to depend on others to solve our problems for us, or to think that our problems are because of the sins and all these other things, all these other outside forces. So we are in exciting times. Black people can change our destiny in this country and change our state. We can. It's a choice. At this point, it's a choice. Throwing off the chains. We have enough information out to help us throw off the chains. We just got to utilize it. Take action.
Not just in terms of educational technique, you see. And this is what the whites try to lay on us. You know, we're going to discover finally that great reading technique. Children can learn almost in any way you teach them. But it's about more than technique. It must be a part of a total cultural structure. And the children must come with a cultural intentionality, because no technique is going to matter if they pay no mind, if they have no interest. You see, if their culture has given them little or no reason for learning what is to be taught, if what they're learning is really not relevant to their situation and their circumstances. And so we have to understand very much how culture itself structures the thought processes. Now, there are some of you who are saying, but there are those of us who knew nothing about African culture and we got all A's in school and so forth and so on. Remember this though, we got these A's in school and we went through these schools at the
time,
price of
Ricardo, that's how it
alienation.
is.
As the gentleman who's Carter G. Woodson wrote about the fact that it took him, 30 years to get over that Eurocentric education. What is he talking about? To a degree, without that African-centeredness, without that African sense of culture, without an African-centered intentionality that determined why he was learning and for what reason he was learning and how he was going to use his learning in the interests of African people, he adopted an alien culture, as many educated blacks have had to do.
So
in adopting the alien culture and adopting the alien outlook and adopting alien values and so forth, they adopted then a thought framework, you see, that allowed so-called success within the European academic system.
there you go. Right. And so if the success is seen within the European academic system, that comes to us to just gathering facts that will help propel us within the European academic system or within the European system. It's not education that we would gain to help us solve our problems. It's not education or even cultural patterns are not even set to help us solve our problems. And even when we get into a realm where we learn our own history, we don't have the mindset or the cultural patterns to solve our problems, to look for the lessons in the history. He just talked about it. Dr. Amos Wilson just talked about it when talking about the destruction of the black civilization, the last part of the book where everybody skips over the solutions. We just like gathering facts. We are cultivated to just gather facts. And when we do gather facts, we gather facts to help others. Shalom. Uptight 24. Thank you for being up in here. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You mean I gotta put down my Xbox controller and go outside? Dang, I'm saying protagonist. Dang, man, I gotta put my socks on, protagonist. I gotta put my socks on, man. I gotta go outside, man. I gotta do something, man. Come on, man. You mean I can't change the world from the couch? Me and the protagonist, we just trying to sit on the couch, eat some popcorn, some lemon heads. Go to the hood store, get some hot fries, you know what I'm saying, some of the hood sodas, and just chill and watch hood movies all day. And then if we comment on social media, that should help change the world. So you mean we got to actually do something? Dang, man.
You see? But the unfortunate thing about it is, once you adopt that structure and that mode and orientation of thinking, you can only work within it.
Right.
And so you can keep your ability to think abstractly and logically and scientifically only if you work for us as a what? As a scientist.
What I just told you.
But you cannot take that thought and what? Outside of that structure and use it in your own interest.
There you go.
And this is the dilemma that many of those who so-called succeeded in this system have had to face. You see, I categorize and I classify, but I categorize and I classify in terms of European structures, and I find that I'm only comfortable in what? Working within those structures, and I can only what? Advance those structures. The European system has this economic system set up in such a way that when you try to use this structured kind of thought outside of the system, it won't pay you.
Jasmine, you on point like some Stacey Adams or a spear tip. There you go. We're not taught to think critically. And that's what he was talking about in the beginning of the video. In the beginning of this video for today, when we're talking about being taught to use both sides of the brain. We're only gathering information. We're only gathering the information to make us feel good either. If the information don't make us feel good, we're not even gathering that. We're not thinking critically. Right, like a lot of answers are right there in front of us if we just open up the stuff and not just read it, but read it to understand it and learn how to use the information. Amina in the building. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing, my sister? Thank you for joining us. I knew you was coming. I knew you was gonna be here. Appreciate you. Let's get back into it. He dropping these gems.
Yeah, it will punish you. And often your own group has problems with it because our group only pays preachers. But it will rarely pay anyone else that tries to operate in its interest. And so you get caught up in two worlds. Socially, culture patterns the ways in which its members relate to each other, interact with each other, perceive each other, and the ways they organize, develop, institutionalize, and apply their human potential in order to adapt to the conditions in which they live to satisfy psychological and social survival needs. Ultimately, as I said again and again, culture is about solving problems. But we're going to learn, as I've indicated before, solving problems in a cultural way, creating power in a cultural way, requires relating to each other in a particular sort of way. Implies interacting with each other in a particular sort of way and perceiving each other in a particular sort of way. I've indicated under other circumstances
What's going, Cyan?
that individuals do not have power. Power is the result of the nature of social relations between people.
Power is the nature of social relations between people. How do we feel about ourselves? How do we feel about each other? How do we relate to each other? That showed that right there. You know, everybody knows the answer to the question I just asked. That's why we have no power. That's why we are not a powerful group of people, because the way we relate to each other is unhealthy. We don't like each other. We've been taught and programmed to not like each other. We've been taught and programmed to be combative with each other. We are our biggest, and we've become our biggest enemies to ourselves. We forgot who the real enemy is. We're so entrenched in our self-hate that only black people are our enemies. We'll complain about the white people, but we'll do nothing about it. But the only actions we take is to take out people who look like us. Hey, say unto righteousness it is well. There you go.
The way people choose to interact with each other makes power. If you don't believe it, you could go back a few years and see how little white boys could order grown black men around. Were they big enough to beat them? Were they big enough? Did they have enough power to knock them down? No, they didn't. But it was because those little white kids were in a, structured framework and had behind them, a set of structures and strategies that, because white people had chosen to relate to each other in a particular way and interact with each other in a particular way and interact with us in a particular way, even a white child could come out and express power over black folks. But the power was not inherent in the child.
Right, it's the group power.
But it was inherent in the culture and inherent in how that culture was designed.
And think about who designed our culture. Who originally designed our culture, and how did that design continue once we became the main designers? Now, that don't mean we were the main architects. That don't mean we were a puppet master still wasn't at play. But we got a lot to blame. We got a lot of the blame too, because when it came to us existing and being around each other, communicating with each other, we could have chosen to be better, but we didn't. Of course, the programming, but everybody ain't programmed. Everybody ain't programmed.
And structured. And it's out of this. And this is what I've told you before about an economic system. An economic system is not the mere existence of money. Economic systems existed prior to money. Money as an instrument of economy has come late in the history of man. And yet we've had economies for hundreds and thousands of years before money came into existence. So ultimately then, an economy must have something to do with the way people choose to cooperate with each other and relate to each other. It is out
Truth,
of this
lady. How you doing,
that
my
the economy
sister?
develops. And it's out of this that power develops. You see, so if you have a culture, the culture is going to provide patterns of relating and interacting. It's these patterns of relating and interacting that permits a people who belong to a culture to solve the problems that confront them. So you see, again, it's just not something, as the sister indicates, that you wear, you see, or the speech that you make. You see, it ultimately has to be about relating in a particular structured sort of way.
What are we doing with it?
This is what culture is socially. It is very important to keep in mind that a culture is, to a significant extent, a historical product. Let's talk a second about identity. Identity is the social and personal outcome of the, or product of an identification process. According to Bandura, this identification process is a process in which new responses are acquired and existing repertoires of behaviors are modified to some extent as a result of subjection to direct or indirect conditioning procedures. All cultures condition the people that belong to them. All cultures ultimately must have some means of rewarding and punishing behavior. And that's another thing we don't want to face, you know. We want everybody to do right just because it means doing right. And this is what I said earlier when we talk about these conspiracies and the boule. You're not going to win this game if you don't have a means of neutralizing people and rewarding people, you see, and controlling people. The reason why, as I've often said, the very first thing that we must do if we are to transform our children is to get control of them.
Well, we have to get control of ourselves and our own minds as well. Because adults, a lot of adults don't like to act like adults no more. Right? And so we do have to get control of our children. We have a couple generations of children that the adults have no control over. They're afraid of. But these children did come up under your care. So once we get control of ourselves, we can get control of these kids, but we got to grow up en masse.
And we must become their primary rewarders and punishers. We must determine the conditions under which they are socialized if we want to create the kinds of people we need to solve our problems. You are not going to solve your problems giving the control of your children over to other people. And yet we sit around here hoping every day, after pushing our children and ourselves into the faces of white folk, into the faces of our enemies, that these people by luck or some means will happen to be the kind of people we need for ourselves. The very point and process of education is to create the people you need for your benefit.
I like that uptight, calling them the Biscos. That's funny. I like that. Yeah.
And if a culture is going to educate your children, it then will educate them to benefit whom? Itself, not you. Not you. You must bring your children under your own control.
There you go, Ricardo.
And you must be in control of the conditioning process. This is what it's about.
What he just said, you need to be in control of the conditioning process of your people. We need to be the one conditioning and socially engineering our people to become the best version and to make sure that we're put in the position to have our best interests and not the interests of our oppressors. We have to be the main ones controlling our thought patterns, controlling our culture, controlling how we behave. We have to put ourselves in a position of power. We have to do something that we don't know how to do. We have to learn to do something that we don't know how to do, something our ancestors were able to do, but we're not linked to that, only through theory, not through experience. So we have to learn to do something that nobody we know exists know how to do, but we have to do it. What's that movie where the guy just writes a book and it becomes reality and it changes things? But I don't know. My high school football coach taught me don't talk, demonstrate by example. There you go. You could talk about it, or you could be about it. There's a whole bunch of people sitting over there talking about liberation, and that's why they're not getting it. There's a whole bunch of people putting in action, and that's why they're getting closer. That's how reality is, because prophecy is coming to pass. There you go. No more hope. It's I will and I can. It's about being determined. There you go. There you go. Like if we don't do it for ourselves, who else gonna do it? Why would anybody else choose to do it for us? That's crazy.
Control of that, then really you're not going to have control of the children, because identification with a culture, becoming cultured or enculturated, is the result of a culture approving and disapproving, of rewarding and not rewarding, and of sometimes even punishing, to ultimately shape the individual in a way that it benefits the culture and ultimately the individual, him or herself. And this is what identity is about. It's about the patterning of thoughts, feelings, and actions after other persons who serve as models. You even learn to love. You know, we think that love is something natural, just flows out of us automatically. And yet we have a number of cultures who did not base marriage and these other things, as I've told you before, on romantic love. Even romantic love is taught and learned. Yeah. People are taught how to feel. And we do it all the time. You shouldn't feel that way. You should feel ashamed of yourself for thinking this way, for behaving this way. And we're so unconscious, we don't even recognize it, you see. But we are doing what? We are dictating what? Feelings, thoughts, emotions. What is love? The kids hear it all day long in their records, right? The chill run up my spine. I can't get him out of my mind. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't do. What is all this is what? Defining what? This is the way you feel if you're in what? If you're in love, you see. And when you got that feeling, then you can do some other things. And you can, make all kind of commitments based on that. But many cultures have built marriage and family and other things on different modes of thinking and behavior other than that. And when you study the history of romantic love, when this type of love approach and this type of approach for building families and so forth first started coming up, there were many people who thought it was just a sign of madness, of sickness, of a precarious basis upon which to build family and culture, you see. But what we're trying to illustrate here is that culture, to a good extent, through its conditioning processes and other processes, through providing models, helps people to pattern their ways of thinking and feeling and behaving, and pattern attitudes. Both the conditioning procedures and contingencies and the models are provided by culture. And of course, we recognize that that's one of our major problems today, that often the models that we want to exhibit before ourselves and our children, and often the means by which we can reward our children's behavior, have not been placed in our hands.
Right. We need to be honest and have a honest assessment of what we are, who we are, and are we willing to sacrifice safety and comfortable relationships with our enemies to change how we even relate to us. Not enough of us, PC. Not enough of us. If we're being honest, not enough of us. Not enough. And that's the problem. But we know we know through the behaviors that Black people have shown, especially in America, that we're not willing to do that. We're not ready to do that. We don't have the heart to do that. We're not as tough as our ancestors. Speaking of what the ancestors did and didn't do, it is written, the father ate a bit of grape and the children's teeth is set on edge. Jasmine says, very true. Let's get back into it. Straight up, PC.
That another culture has control of the conditioning mechanism and has control of the models that our children, by which our children are socialized. We must recognize again then, if we are serious about enculturating our people and enculturating our children, then we must gain the means by which we have to condition their enculturation. We must gain the capacity to reward, to punish, and to reinforce, to model the kind of behavior for our children and ourselves that we need to model. Identity is achieved when, as a result of having undergone the identification process, the individual comes to perceive himself as possessing a distinct and unique character or personality, as being a person in his own right,
Appreciate
as being
that.
able to answer the questions to his own satisfaction. Who am I? What am I? And what do I do with my life? Identity, to the extent that it is a cultural product, and identity is a cultural product. And I want to emphasize this because, you see, in this society, we stress individualism. And I try to get across to people all the time
Peace.
that in reality, there's no such thing as an individual. That is a social fiction. It is a type of label we use, but it does not exist in reality. That the individual, the thing that we call an individual, is really a synthesis of social experience. A unique combination of our having interacted with others and having undergone social experiences, and it's our unique way of expressing our social relations.
And right on time with that comment, the propagandist, right? Our social relations with each other, right? Them folks form like Voltron, but I stay off cold from men who look like me. Oh man. We got to be better. Can't complain about the other folk. The global phenomenon of white supremacy, we can't complain about it if we ain't willing to do nothing about it. If we going to continue falling victim to it and continue and remain in victimhood. Yep, weak faith. It's a lot of weak black people out here in this world, unfortunately. We don't like to hear that. We don't like to hear that we're weak, but show us our strength outside of the things that you just say, that you just say rather. Show me tangible outcomes of our strength, of our collective strength. Don't show me one-offs. Show me tangible outcomes of collective strength. Hey, mighty man of valor Gideon went to battle thinking he is weak. Yeah, I mean, but he went to battle though. We ain't going to battle, and that's the problem. We got to get to the point where even willing to go to battle.
And our experiences, but who we are and what we are is the result of social relations. It is not something that is completely unique to us and not shared on some level with others. The very fact that you speak a language means that you have a shared identity on some level. If you were completely individual, no one would be able to understand what you were saying. You see? You cannot fit into an ordered system and in an ordered society. If you want to imagine you can be a complete individual if you were in space all by yourself. But then what would be the point? It would have no meaning. It would be pointless. Even the concept of individual can only achieve its definition within a social structure. It only has meaning within a social structure and within in terms of relating socially to someone else. Otherwise, it is pointless. It is the social that creates the individual, not the other way around. And yet those who rule over us, you see, will have us think that we can be individuals in and of ourselves and by ourselves without any connection whatsoever to anyone else. And in that way, of course, it can maintain the disunity of our culture and maintain our disunity as a people and ultimately destroy us as a people. So identity is a cultural product. It is the incarnation of a cultural ideology, ecology, and of cultural practice. Identity.
Thank you, Raphael. I'm definitely check him out. I got him pulled up on my phone and definitely check him out. Thank you for the book suggestions.
Is culture made flesh. Identity is an instrument for the expression of cultural power. Yes.
Yep. If you brown, you're on the bottom.
An individual identifies with the culture. And remember we said culture is ultimately contained what? In us.
Right. If you
Then
brown,
the
you're on the
individual
bottom.
becomes the what? Instrument of that culture.
Yep.
You say, this is what I tried to tell you some lectures
And
ago.
then, so think about what he's saying, and think about the culture of white supremacy versus other cultures in the world. That culture dictate how they move. They dictate how they walk, how they talk, how they behave, all these things here. And it dictated how they manipulated all of our cultures, all of the African cultures, to make sure that they remain subservient people on the bottom, not able to truly challenge white supremacy across the globe.
Go when I talked about manhood, right? When I told you that manhood is a social definition.
Thank you.
And to be a man is to be socially defined, so that in expressing what it means to be a man, in defending one's manhood, one also does what? Expresses one's culture and defends what? The culture. And in defending the honor of one's manhood, one defends what?
Right,
the honor of the culture and the honor of the people. And therefore, ultimately, manhood is an expression of the culture, not of a chauvinistic wish on the part.
And, oh man, see, he getting to where I'm going, right? He getting to where my mind was going, because we hate to be critiqued about our behavior patterns. When we call out the destructive behavior patterns of black women, black people getting their feelings. When we call out the destructive behavior patterns of black men, black people getting their feelings. When we call out destructive behavior patterns of our children, black people cheer. When we call out the destructive black behaviors of our elders or olders, all black people have a problem with getting our feelings. Yes, we have destructive behavior patterns that need to be called out, that need to be recognized, so we can either stop those behaviors or separate ourselves from those people who behave those ways. But guess what? Those black people are a part of the problem and help bring our community down. So those of us who want better, we either going to spend time trying to change them, or we're going to separate ourselves. But the behavior patterns are bleak. They're destructive. We got to be better. We got to do better, or we got to separate. But guess what? When we take a critical look at our men and our women, people get their drawers in a bunch. People get all uptight. Yes, we're going to critique ourselves. Yes, there's deplorable behavior from black men and women. Yes, and we have to call it out. We have to critique it. We have to shame it to hell. We got to change our society, man. Those of us who have better cultural patterns, we want better. And damn it, we're going to get better.
Of a male, it is not to be defined in isolation and detached from the needs of the culture itself. That when manhood becomes defined, detached from the needs of the culture itself, detached from the needs of people itself, when boys are not trained into men relative to the culture, then these boys will prey upon the culture and destroy the culture.
What?
And this is a part of what we have.
There you go.
Black on black violence.
There you go. Here, hold up.
Boys who've been bought into man.
He finna say that again. From having him say that again.
So that in expressing what it means to be a man, in defending one's manhood, one also does what? Expresses one's culture and defends what? The culture. And in defending the honor of one's manhood, one defends what? The honor of the culture and the honor of the people. And therefore, ultimately, manhood is an expression of the culture, not of a chauvinistic wish on the part of a male. It is not to be defined in isolation and detached from the needs of the culture itself. That when manhood becomes defined, detached from the needs of the culture itself, detached from the needs of people itself, when boys are not trained into men relative to the culture, then these boys will prey upon the culture and destroy the culture.
And that is exactly what is happening right now, going back to what Doro Fell said, maladaptive behaviors. Our culture is being destroyed from within. When you're weak within, you'll definitely be weak without. I saw a TikTok video, man, finding out the child wasn't his and his own family and relatives were just laughing it off. Right. It's become a norm. Hey, be a man and take care of the baby anyway. Maladaptive behaviors. I lived in Long Island, New York, worked in East Hampton, and stopped in Riverhead to gas up. There was a section where black folks live. They kept it nice. You better not. I'm just saying. Look, I love to go into black neighborhoods and the black people don't play that messiness stuff. I love those black neighborhoods. I wish you would throw some trash on my ground. I wish you would come in here. I don't even, like, I ain't gonna lie, I ride around with loud music. I would be damned if I ride around in loud music in one of those black neighborhoods. Nope. Because they command respect. All of us don't take the lowest forms of living. Some of us, damn it, demand respect. Some of us have some pride in ourselves, right? There you go, Ricardo. Facts. Those patterns have to be called out to grow. We gotta call out maladaptive behaviors. We gotta call out bad behaviors. We gotta call out ratchet women behavior. We gotta call out ratchet male behavior. We gotta call out childish behaviors. It's time for black men and black women to grow the fuck up. To grow up and stop acting like children. Too many black men and women, or black males and black females, black adults act like damn children, and we hate to be criticized. We hate for our feelings to be hurt. Forget your feelings. Your feelings is not bigger than the culture. It's not bigger than the people. It's not bigger than our overall outcome. And if you think they are, then you must support the system of white supremacy. You need to get the hell away from us.
And this is a part of what we have in so-called black-on-black violence. Boys who've been brought into manhood in ways that are detached from African culture and African people, you see, who have not engaged in training in an organic relationship to their Africanness. And therefore, since they are not socially defined, they then become antisocial in their behavior. So ultimately, you see, an identity and a personality is a cultural instrument, and it is through this identity and through this personality that the culture expresses itself, and the culture is perpetuated, and the culture has an impact on the world, and the culture expresses itself as power and defends itself as a culture. But if it defends itself as a culture, it defends its members.
Right. We don't do that
as well.
We don't do that.
You see? But when people are detached from a culture, they stand alone. And they are undefended.
Yeah.
They become vulnerable.
Right.
And others now destroy them one by one, here and there. And ultimately, a whole of a people are wiped out. Thus, identity, self-concept, a product and instrumentalities as much, if not more, political, economic entities than social, psychological entities. What am I saying here again? We're used to seeing identity as a psychological concept. You see, we talk about my identity as if it belongs to what? Me only.
Right. And it's
my
personality, part of the collective.
My this. No. Ultimately, we must recognize that our personalities and our identities are, to a good extent, instrumentalities for our culture. But the thing that we want to recognize more so than this is that identity, self-concept, what we call the self and personality, are as much political and economic entities as they are social and psychological entities. In other words, identity, even in a diffused state, is a political economy, an organization of interests, tastes, desires, passions.
Probably to read the shit. I'm not sure. Tell us. I'm not sure.
Ideals, motives, values, etc. The pursuit of and the satisfaction of which maintains social power relations, social prerogatives, the integrity of the social, political, economic system, the cultural status quo. What am I saying here? The culture, in inculcating particular values in people, in inculcating particular desires in people, and they don't, the culture doesn't inculcate into you the desire for what? Everything, does it? No, it says what? You should desire this and not that. This is desirable, but this is horrible. You know, this you should be interested in, that you don't have to worry about. You see, this you should feel strongly about, that you shouldn't have to worry about. You see, this you should strive to be. These are the ideals we wish you would actualize. This you don't have to try to strive to be. As a matter of fact, you can reject this. This is where you should try to go. These are the goals that we approve of. The others we don't. Now, so a culture then organizes these values, these ideals, these interests, and so forth. This is a part of our cultural identity, such that when you pursue the satisfaction of these desires, when you pursue the actualization of the cultural ideals, when you pursue the interests that the culture has inculcated in you, what do you do then? By doing this, you maintain what? The culture itself. You see? And many of those things are political, and many are economic. In other words, if a culture tells you that eating a certain food is the right thing to do,
you're gonna do
and this
it.
is what we're about, and eating this food is central and important to our culture,
You're gonna do it.
then believe it or not, there's going to be a system of production to do what? Produce what? That food. A system of what? Distribution as well, you see. And a whole system of economic what? Relations, you see. So therefore, this taste, even the taste for food, or certain interests, when you pursue them, maintain a social system and
What's good? The
maintain
real
an
PhD
economic system. And if the structure of that culture, if it's a
PhD, I'm gonna hit you up. I gotta go out of town this next week coming up, but I'm definitely gonna hit you up so we can go ahead and get things set up. But yes,
class,
I appreciate you.
A class structure, and if that structure is built
Right.
on wealth and the accumulation of wealth and the control of the means of production by certain people, your pursuit of those cultural tastes helps to maintain the structure of that culture. Am I getting through? Am I putting you to sleep? Hang in with me, please. Okay. It's very important that we get this in mind. Because without this theory and understanding this, you're going to go blindly into the training of young boys and the training of your young girls. You're going to take them through the rituals and everything, but they're going to still have European taste and desire European things. And they still pursue European ideals and all that, even with their kente on. And despite then, and their superficial behavior, if those tastes and interests and passions and so forth are not also transformed in particular directions, despite their superficial attachment to African culture, they will continue to perpetuate their oppression and maintain the system that they think they're trying to get out from, you see? And this is why you have to understand
I'm up
this
here in
theoretical
Tallahassee.
so that you know where you're going when you're talking about educating these children African-centrically. You see, this is why you ultimately are going to have to reject multiculturalism and understand that it's African-centeredness that must.
So you mean we got to give up the BIPOC stuff? You heard what he said. We got to reject multiculturalism and focus on African-centered things for ourselves, because African people, black people in America, have never had an opportunity or a chance to self-actualize as black people. We've always been intertwined with what everybody else has going on. Reject multiculturalism. So y'all still want to go with the BIPOC stuff, even though the Hispanics don't really mess with us, and even though the Asians don't really mess with us. Y'all still down with the BIPOC stuff? Are we down for ourselves? Because, you know, we've been acculturated to care about everybody else but us. We've never focused on ourselves. It's time to
Be taught to our children, not multiculturalism. Multiculturalism says, all right, everybody's culture is okay, you know, Pollyanna. Oh, you got a culture, I got a culture, all got children got a culture. You know, oh, you know. So, you know, it's all right, you can taste from this one, you can taste from that one, you buy from this one, you buy from that one, which is exactly what black folk are doing right now. You see? And therefore,
wow.
Keeping other people's families alive, keeping them out of crime, keeping them well housed.
Them folk crazy.
You know, and all the things we're doing because
we are
we
strong,
have not controlled our what? Taste and interest.
We can be stronger.
And evolve them in ways that they advance our culture and us as a people. Please get rid of multiculturalism.
Please.
And it makes you believe every culture is all right. Here you are suffering from European culture, and now you're gonna, you know, it's all right. You can't put one down and put the other one up.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. He's saying implement an African-centered culture, an African-centered psychology, an African-centered way of existing, an African-centered way of thinking, which means that it will include the diaspora. It's African-centered. It's for black people across the globe. He's a black person who's a black American. I believe he's from Mississippi, a black American from Mississippi, who's advocating for an African-centered mindset. He's not talking about reject Pan-Africanism. He's never said reject Pan-Africanism, reject Europeanism, reject Asianism, reject all the other isms that's not African. Being African-centered means the collective of Africa. That's what he means.
I mean, Europeans amuse me anyway, talking about their cultural traditions.
No excuse.
Great traditions they have brought to the world. The tradition is what you do. Yeah. And it's an insult as an African man to have Europeans talk about their great tradition.
Right.
You may talk about your philosophy, but that's not your tradition. Right. You may talk about your religion, but that's not your tradition. Or if it is your tradition, then no matter how beautiful it sounds, I must reject it because it enslaved me, it oppressed me, and the whole bit, you see. So, and I don't care how sweet it sounds and how logically it is put together, or how literate it may be. The ultimate thing is in what way does it express itself in relationship to me and my people? And if this is the outcome of European tradition, then that tradition must be rejected. You must understand, ladies and gentlemen, what Europeans call great tradition goes hand in hand with their capacity to kill. You know, the Germans, I couldn't understand. You know, we were the literary people and we were the, you know, this and that. But that's one of the reasons why you were able to kill the way you did, because that was also in there as well. You look at Elijah Muhammad, a misunderstood person. Yeah, misunderstood. Because again, sometimes we're so right-brained, we let our dislike or disapproval of certain of his behaviors overshadow our capacity to see what gifts he brought us as a people and to come to really understand what this man was about and the greatness of what he created in the Nation of Islam. Yeah. because we let a series of events get to us so much. We want to throw the baby out with the wash water. You see. But what was he doing? He recognized, too, that cultural identity, religious identity, were as political as they were psychological, were as economical as they were psychological, you see. And he recognized then that he had to also change the taste of black people and change their what? Interests as well. Their emotions and their what? Feelings as well. And a part of that change was projection of the white man is demon mythology, which was very functional and real.
We all gonna read more upon him.
But very functional. See, I've told you, a lot of people think, oh, well, that wasn't the truth. That wasn't the point.
So so uptight. I'm gonna be honest for me. I had to catch myself because I did read Elijah Muhammad's book. The title escapes me right now. The title escapes me, but I read the book, and there were things that I agreed with, things I didn't agree with that Elijah Muhammad wrote. And so, as Amos Woodson was saying that about Elijah Muhammad, my first thought was, well, Elijah Muhammad did have a lot of positive propaganda, but then I had to catch myself. Well, but the Nation of Islam has tangible outcomes. The Nation of Islam does have tangible outcomes. So yeah, so I had to catch myself.
That's the point. It amazes me now. You know, somebody mentioned the Tuskegee experiment.
Right.
These whites are going to tell all the truth now. Now that they got the what? The world what? Wrapped up. But in wrapping it up, they projected the what? The myth. Because the myth, the major function of the myth is to organize people, to organize a people's perception of themselves, to give them a sense of destiny and commonality, to arrange their social relations.
Hey, Jason, I've been telling people this for so damn long. Dr. Amos Wilson and Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, Dr. Amos Wilson repackaged their stuff. I mean, Dr. Umar repackaged their stuff. I've been telling people this for the longest. I've been watching Umar for 20 years, man. I got put on to Dr. Kobe Cambone first. I got put on to Dr. Amos Wilson, Jawanza Kunjufu. Then I was like, oh, I see where Umar get his from. I'm just saying, I appreciate that because I ain't crazy. Message, there you go. Message to the black man. There you go. Message to the black man. Yes, message to the black man was the book. Elijah Muhammad had things I agree with, things I disagreed with, but at the same time, he did give some feel good, but at the same time, they had tangible outcomes. He mobilized people for tangible outcomes. So got to give him his credit.
Such a way so that they could achieve particular points and particular ends. And it's not that they didn't know that Egyptians might have been African. It was in their literature. That's a lot of where we got it from, isn't it? But at the point where a mythology of Africans as being uncultured served to organize them and create a unity among themselves and served to create a set of relations that permitted them to make a conquest of the globe, they projected that mythology. And it was a powerful one. Now that they think they have it made, they say, well, yeah, you were Egyptians, weren't you? Oh, yeah, we did give you TB down there. You know, what are you going to do about it? Oh, now we're becoming honest folk, you know. But what happened? No banks are changing hands.
Son Virgo, so we got to make sure we say this over here. We don't do diaspora wars on the shoulders of giants. We don't do that. We call out foolishness, but we don't do diaspora wars. Now, if we're gonna be fair, yes, there were groups of Africans who sold other Africans, but are we gonna be mad at Black Americans for the way we've been treating each other for the past 400 years? Or even for the last however many years? Or are you gonna call out the behavior that we've been having for each. Because think about the lecture that we're talking about, how we've been treating each other. We don't do the diaspora war stuff over here. We know history. We reread history. We talk about it over here. We know there were groups of Africans who sold black people. We know that. But that's not all Africans, and we're not going to even paint that picture. We don't do that over here. We don't do diaspora wars over here. We're about unity over here. The difference between Dr. Umar and Dr. Wilson. There you go. A real one. Dr. Wilson was born in realness. There you go. I grew up in the NOY. It wasn't perfect, but what I took away was the concept. There you go. Your Lord is my Lord, and my Lord is your Lord. There we go. Let's get back into it.
No means and ownership of production are changing hands. No real control of your destiny is changing hands. But you're multicultural now. We have greater understanding and truth. It's got to go deeper than that.
Yep.
You got to do more than tell the
Hey, Jason, those who know.
truth. You're going to reparate yourself. We're going to take these reparations from you. You can admit we're Egyptians if you want to, but it's not the end of it. No way. And we as black people can't fall for the okie doke. Oh, they saying we're Egyptian. Ain't that wonderful?
Well, that's what we do. We build over here.
We're this and we're that. Isn't that nice?
Let me just say that again. We build over here. If you are a person who about that beef and all that stuff, this ain't the channel for you. We build over here. I don't care if you are continental African. I don't care if you're a Caribbean. I don't care if you're from South America, Central America, North America, from Europe. If you're a black person that's about tearing down the system of white supremacy, you're a black person that's about unity, about connecting with other black people across your region, across the world, this is the channel for you. If you're about pointing the blame and all, because all of us have blame. All at this point, 2025, we all have blame. But we're about building over here.
Now, you see, because now we're moving toward multiculturalism, right? Suddenly we're going to see them all as nice and sweet and wonderful. But what? The actual power relations that
there
run
you
the
go,
world
Ricardo.
will what? Be exactly what? The same. As a matter of fact, we will even support them now because we feel so good about ourselves. Elijah Muhammad then sought to change taste. So when he had you eating that bean pie, you see, it was a different kind of thing. And eating once a day, wearing a different type of clothes, you see.
People
it was just not an imposition of tyranny. That's what the other people would like to tell you. Even though they were tyrannizing you far worse than Elijah Muhammad was doing, if you want to call it that. But what? If we demonize the Europeans, we wean our people from the pursuit of things what? European. You see? If we then create new tastes and tastes for which we can produce, you see, now the person in pursuing their taste will produce for their own nation and economically what? Support the nation. In other words, your money follows your interests. Your money follows your tastes. Your money follows your what? Passions. And one of the major powers that this culture has is to create tastes, passions, and interests in African people. And this is what Eurocentric culture is about. The organizing of African tastes, interests, and passions, so that in our pursuit of those interests and passions, in our attempt to satisfy them, we carry the Europeans all of our money. And we impoverish ourselves looking for the better life and the better feeling. Therefore, the Europeans have all the products for which they've created a taste in us. And then other immigrants come in and get the products under their control. And we as African people then support and feed all of them while we starve our own children.
Hey.
And consequently, you see, our children have learned often that the only way they can get money out of our pocketbooks is to knock us in the head and take it. That's right. Because they're not going to get it by what? Investing and spending in a planned sort of way and following tastes that have been created within our own culture and our own so forth and so on. Because we have told them that buying things European and pursuing things European and so forth was what it means to be alive and to be real and to be free and the whole bit. And yet, it's the pursuit of those very things that has imprisoned us and will maintain us in prison. This is why I've told you many times before that we will be most enslaved when we feel freest. Yes, we will be most impoverished.
I mean, we could keep the diaspora wars up, but we just gonna keep being on the bottom globally. We can keep fighting each other, but we're gonna keep being on the bottom globally. I have no problem with separating from black people who are about keeping up this unity. I have no problem from separating from black people who are about perpetuating the system of white supremacy, who are pushing evil and against black progress and against black love and unity. I have no problem separating from those. But for the black people who are down for the goodness of us, hey, we got to come together. We need each other. Globally, we need each other. Don't care what nobody say, we need each other.
When we feel wealthy. Because as soon as we get the money, we're going to do what? Take it somewhere else and impoverish ourselves. At the moment we feel free to buy everything we want to, we're going to buy it from whom? Others. And they will use that wealth to maintain our oppression as a people, you see. So this is why we must understand here the relationship between culture and identity.
True.
We must understand that culture itself is an instrument of power. Some people criticize Elijah Muhammad for calling Islam black Muslim, black Islam. But there's a purpose there.
That comment has nothing to do with your first comment. Your first comment was that Africans sold Africans. Nobody ever denied that Africans sold Africans. And nobody ever denied that the continent wasn't raped. We were just talking about that early in the video. We was literally just talking about that early in the video.
Unorthodox. Islam is not a racist religion. Even though all I see are doggone Arabs hanging up there in North Africa. And I don't see any equal sharing between Africans and Arab Africans in the heart of Islam. I don't give a hoot what you say about how universal it is. Show it to me in practice. I don't see it in practice. And you'll learn something very clear. These Europeans and these other groups are going to lay all kind of universal bullshit on your head.
There you go. Yes, we do.
As a way of maintaining you in slavery. Yes. In fact, the best way to enslave a Negro is to get him universal. I'm for all people. That means he can't be for himself.
There you go.
He even feels guilty about being for himself. Yeah, you tell him, look, let's act in terms of who we are. Oh, no, I'm for all people. Which means I can't commit myself to what? To anyone else. But you see, when other people have already got the scheme set up, it does, what you are for all for doesn't work for all people, though. It seems to always go to what? Particular people. Because I've said, you see, we are absolutists. You see, we believe that if we know the truth and hear the truth, that's the only thing we must believe. And I've told you before, in terms of the Christian theology here, that Africans did not come to America as Christians. I don't care how much you shout and kick over benches. You gotta understand that. Your African and our African ancestors did not come to America as what? Christians. And it's very important to recognize that. Does that impute Christianity? No, I'm not about attacking Christianity. I'm not about attacking the reality of Christ or your sincerity. This is not what this is about.
Yep.
You must, though, ask the question, who taught you Christianity? And why did they teach it to you? In other words, you must ask what? Functional questions. How does your teaching me this work for you? And how does it work for me? even though what I believe you're saying is true and absolutely true, my believing it and your believing the same thing brings about what? Two different consequences. So while the principle you're teaching is universal and absolutely true, given the context in which this is operating, in the context of the fact that you have all the money and you have all the power, my believing this is going to what? Help you to do what? Maintain your money and your power and maintain my weakness. So you can't just fall for an idea simply because it's universal and absolutely true. You've got to look at it within the context in which that idea is being projected. And you got to look at it in terms of who is believing it, because the idea will generate effects based on the context in which it operates, not in and of itself. You see, and this is what has happened to black folk who've taken up other religions and had those other people say, you know, you just believe this, and this is true, this is universally true. This has nothing to do with race, and Islam is not a racist religion. That's fine when the Arabs own what? Everything. And that means then that I won't perceive the Arab as a race.
Right, Ronnie. Right,
Even
Ronnie.
though it was just by coincidence, all of his race owns everything, has everything. Then I'll be made to feel guilty for even thinking in terms of what? My race. Even though my children are going hungry, they're robbing me at night, terrorizing the community, and the whole bit is wrong.
Now that is, I have peeped Dr. Clyde Winters on it, but there are a lot of people who use FBA in different manners, but we know the primary way that FBA is used and it is depicted.
For me to think of them as race and think in terms of them as a people and so forth, because I believe in this universal principle. And yet it is the inequality of wealth and the inequality of power and all kinds of inequalities that are what? Creating the problem. But because I am not allowed to see these inequalities in terms of race, you see, even though when we see the victims of them, the race is quite apparent, I cannot transform this situation. You got to be careful with this game, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the kind of game people run on you all the time. You see, whenever people bring you universal truths, whenever they bring you, you know, these great brotherhood ideas, you must ask yourself how believing this is going to function for you. And given your power, and given this or given this, how's it going to function for you, and how's it going to function?
So to me, I mean, we black folk. Call yourself what you want. I don't care if I don't really get caught up in the labels. I don't consider myself FBA, ADOS. I'm a black American. I'm of the African diaspora and a black person from America. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. I'm from Roberts Avenue, Tallahassee, Florida. I'm a black person from America who's of the African diaspora. And I love black people who love black people, who are about positivity and uplifting and empowering black people. So me personally, I don't care what you call yourself. It's about the actions of the people.
For me, these fighters went over the world talking about the invisible hand and the laissez-faire economy, you know. Or they come up with some stupidity like, we are all God's children, we are all one, we are all human. Nationalism is wrong. We shouldn't discriminate according to border. People should be able to invest wherever they feel like investing, you know. And people should take advantage of opportunities wherever they arise. Now that sounds so nice and neat, doesn't it? And it is. I have no problem with that. Except, though, you got to move beyond that. You got to look at who's saying it, and if I believe it, what's going to happen?
Yep.
Now, the Europeans said this because they had all the what? The money. You see? So when they convinced our people to believe in free markets and open markets and reject nationalism, we all got children, we all one.
Ronnie.
And therefore, all markets should be open for investment, regardless as to who you invest. The deal is, if they had all the money, they're going to end up owning all the land. They're going to end up owning all of the means of production.
There you go, Jasmine.
Consent.
You hear them. You hear them.
With your moral consent. You see? And then you're going to wonder if God is cursing you. If something is wrong. You have to understand, then you can't just let people lay an idea on you, a universal concept, a universal religion, and a universal this, and then assume that all is well. You got to look at reality. So if it's so damn universal, spread that damn money around. universal. You believe people should invest wherever they fit? Well, let's first even up the money, and then we can invest cross borders and all over the other place. But no, you insist on holding on to your money. You see, and then
some people are weird out here.
Private property and all this stuff, and you're going to convince me not to look racially or nationally, and this allows you then to what? Maintain control. And this is the game that we're in. So people say, well, Elijah, you know, you're a black Muslim. We don't believe in blackness.
So, son Virgo, this, I hear you, and yes, this is true. But going into like the overall conversation of what Dr. Amos Wilson is talking about, that's true that that's in the ground, but it has to be potential power, potential. Well, it has to be actual power and actual energy, not just potential. So yes, they have it under their feet, but to be able to cultivate it and use it and not let it be exploited by others. Because yes, they are rich in the resources, but not rich in being able to reap the benefits of the resources, and not rich in being able to protect the resources and things. So I'm with you, but we have to shift from saying, okay, we have these things to how can we benefit from these things? How do these things benefit from us? And what tangible outcomes are we getting from all of these things that we have around us and from the things that we're saying? So I'm with you, but it has to be action-based as well.
No, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus says, what? Man is not made for the Sabbath, but the Sabbath for whom? For man.
I'm gonna say this one more time. We do not do the diaspora stuff over here. If you disagree with somebody, cool. You ain't got to type everything. We don't do the diaspora stuff over here. I'm gonna tell y'all one more time. We don't do that over here. All right? This is not the channel for that. Call yourself what you want. If you disagree with it, cool. But we don't do the diaspora war stuff over here. This is not the channel for that.
Ultimately, religion is not made just to be served by man, but what? The religion must what? Serve man. God is not only to be served, but God also must serve the people. Oh yeah, I know, you think you never told you should lay all on your face and roll and carry on. No way. No way. There is a what? Contract. There is a covenant. It's in your Bible. The Israelites had a what? Covenant between God and themselves. There was an agreement there that what? I do for you and what? You do for me, man. It's not just about laying down praying and do whatever you want to the Lord. And if you read Moses, and if you read it, you will see going on between Moses and God, constant what? Negotiation. In fact, that's what I find so fascinating about reading the Exodus story. Hey, this man sits down and
they minds, they've been colonized people. That's what happened when you colonize. When you colonize, that's what happens.
You remember that time they get near the border and they start hollering and screaming, talking about they were better off than slavery, and they wanted to go back to Egypt, and they were about to hang Moses. They were within an inch of hanging Moses. You know, Moses nearly got hung several times. A lot of people don't read this thing very well at all. He was not seen as some holy man with a halo above it. Those people didn't see Moses that way at all. They got at it.
You going back to what Dr. Amos was, this is all feelings based. This is all feelings based. What you just typed is all feelings based. We got to grow up.
They got so out of hand until God said, let me just strike these people with a thunderbolt and wipe them from the face of the earth. Yeah. And then Moses started doing what? Negotiating with them. And even reminded God, what? Wait a minute now. Remember, you brought them out here on the promise, right? Yeah. And you said that you had a what? Promised land for them, and so forth, and this for them. How?
Well, name one group of black people in the world who's freed their minds. Name one. Name one, Ronnie. Name one group of black people in the world who's freed their minds.
You going to look if all of a sudden you get out here and destroy these people.
Yep.
And go in a sense against your word.
Right.
Yeah, you're
right.
Yeah, I did say that. Read it. You don't have to believe me as your preacher tell you. Read the Bible. It's right there. Because a negotiation there. What? There's a service between the two things, not just one-way street. And so in black Muslims, in the black nation of Islam,
Ricardo, they call it diaspora war.
is used also to do what? Serve black folk. You must understand that. As soon as you remove the blackness from it, and blackness has no relevance to it, it loses its capacity to serve our interests. And more often than not, it will serve the interests of Arabs and serve the interests of other people, because it will not change the pre-existing.
This is the result of feelings-based history and feelings-based learning. So because of the actions of a few Africans, we got to be mad at all Africans. So do you feel that same way about black Americans? Do you feel the same way about black American nigger behavior? Is this destructive? Do you feel the same way about black American nigger behavior? This is what that feel good history goes. This is what happens when we don't learn how to critically think and critically learn and use our information. We be stuck in our feelings all the time. Right? No one's feeling Africa but you. We need each other. You don't, hey, clearly this, you might not make it. You might not be one of the ones who make it. Clearly that's what that means. You might not be the ones who make it. If you clearly can't distinguish the behaviors between the ones who are destructive and the ones who are constructive, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You got to grow up. I don't know what to tell you.
Social economic power relationship. You see, and you have to understand that. Elijah understood it very well. You see, so no. We're gonna make it black because we wanted to what? So
no. Answer my question. Who has? And don't tell me who can. If somebody stopped doing this, no. Who has? Despite what somebody's doing, because that's what power is.
Black. A racial identity, an ethnic identity, is not a mere way of identifying yourself by a word or a label. It is not mere.
Right.
It is not a mere
designation
of ethnic characteristics, nor just a designation of people who may
it's not gonna happen,
look alike to some degree.
It's not gonna happen,
share
Randy.
a similar area or share a particular area. Ultimately, an ethnic identity is a prescription for behaving, for relating to each other in a particular way, for seeing yourself and seeing each other and seeing the world and relating to God and relating to nature and relating to everything else in the world so that it operates in the interest of the group. Must understand that. In the racial
but you trust niggas.
Designation or identity.
But you trust niggas. Do you trust niggas? You trust niggas.
Is a prescription for action. Is a prescription for relating.
I agree with that, Jason.
And in the Nation of Islam, when it was black Islam, it means blacks who were Muslims would relate to other blacks in a particular sort of way so that it would benefit blacks who were Muslims.
We gotta learn.
Changing that taste, changing the diet, changing the values, and so forth. And what do you mean there then? Since the taste changed, the money that flowed out of the Nation of Islam, pursuing the taste created by other people, did what? Flowed back in.
Yeah, we have to be better followers.
And it means then that money created what we call an accumulation of capital within the nation. It created, in many ways, a savings on the part of the people, because the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 that they would spend buying junk and garbage and other kind of crap now was saved, and that saving now could be used to be invested in businesses, to be invested in schools, could be invested in education and the other kinds of things they needed to do for themselves. And that accumulation of wealth was also an investment in power in a society where wealth and power are often correlated. Am I getting through? I know you're getting a little restless. I'm going to let you go in a minute. Let you go in a minute. You see, We have to understand what went on here. I create your taste for beans. I create your taste for this. And because I do, I'm going to make the pie for you, right? We make the pie what? For ourselves. So now you eat the pie, but now, and you spend the money, and that goes back, and we can buy what? Farms. And now we can do what? Grow the beans. You see, we can create the what? Canneries. We can now build a what? A whole system of production based on the reorganization of taste and the reorganization of interest.
Yep. I'm gonna stop it right there for the sake of time and everything. We're gonna end up getting to the part of closing this out. Hey man, look, I don't know what else to tell y'all, because I mean it's right there. The information is right there in front of us. Like, if you think our biggest enemies are Africans, okay, yeah, you're right. Our biggest enemies are the Africans. You're right. Okay, you win. So I guess black people have gotten permission from white folk to attack ourselves too, because we do it to ourselves. Do we not realize what happened to us? Do we not realize what colonization actually did to African people? It already played on the tribalism that we had, and it separated us even more, and it turned us more enemies against each other. So just like all other groups of black people, some choose, you have factions of black people across the globe, even here in America, who chose to side with the white supremacists. And so should we throw all black people away? Because according to your logic, we have to throw all black people away. We can't trust any black person in the world because of the actions of a few. I mean, we on different pages. We're gonna agree to disagree. That's just how it's gonna be. But I'm gonna keep saying it on this channel for the folk that rock with us over here. We're about unity. We're about building. We can recognize good deeds, and we link with those who have good deeds, good character. And we link with the black people who are about building, whether you black in America or you black globally. If you about that, we're about building. So that's what we do. We're not gonna sit here and argue with nobody. Feel how you feel. Be caught up in your feelings. While you caught up in your feelings, we building. While you caught up in your feelings, we linking. While you caught up in your feelings, we making things better. While you caught up in your feelings, we taking action. Because isn't that what this whole video was about? Isn't what this whole video was about this feel-good history, and why we get caught up in the minutia, why we get caught up in the back and forth, and we don't take action. You wanna know why we don't take action? Because we stay in our feelings all the time. We stay mad all the time. He talking about I'm weak. Good. I'm glad you think I'm weak. Don't come back to this weak ass channel then. If you think I'm weak, don't come back. But guess what? We about building over here. We're about building. And if you're not about building, this ain't the channel for you. This ain't the channel for you. If you ain't about building, this ain't for you. You can get caught in your feelings all you want. But we're adults over here. Ooh, you called me weak. I guess you win, fam. Family, has anyone ever noticed how the Bible say pork is unclean or to be ate or touched? Also clean seafood. Yep. Yep. I appreciate you, Jasmine, for being over here with us. Look, we do this all the time. We tell the truth. And sometimes the truth is uncomfortable for a lot of people. We call out black men. We call out black women. We call out black children. We call out black culture. I call out myself. I can't spell. I call out myself all the time, right? We call out ourselves. We have to be honest and critical about how we get down, how we behave, and how we interact with each other on a regular basis, so we ain't gonna have no real growth. We can stay in our feelings all the time. Good. I'm glad you called me weak. Thank you. And thank you for the comment, and thank you for the view. The answers, we just gave the answers. You not being happy with it, I don't know. But black people, we have not liberated ourselves. We have not put ourselves in a position to win because we have not taken the shackles off of our minds. All the wishful thinking stuff that we keep talking about, whatever. Show me the tangible results. Show the tangible results. We have none. Joseph, that person need to read. Yep. I'm just saying. Cursed he is that put right for wrong and put wrong for, there you go. We were turned inside out. Most of us are on point. It's just called the small fraction. Hey, and everybody ain't gonna make it. Everybody ain't gonna make it. And nobody doing nothing but wanting Black Americans to make movies. Hey, but you know, whatever. But if the person's behavior is not on point, we don't rock with them. It's just as simple as that. We're not going to denigrate a whole continent. If the individual or the group of people, their behavior ain't on point, we don't rock with them. Hey, there you go. We just want to build. If you don't want to build, this ain't for you. You heard me? Nobody makes movies ever waiting on Black Americans. Yeah. Dark Kent, what is going on, my brother? What it is, man. I appreciate you. Brother. Hey, man, thank you. Thank you, Bushwoman. Hey, that's what we do, building up the temple. We don't know how the brain works and how to react without thinking, because colonization did a job on us. It did a job. Hey, you know, Dr. Clark says, you know, what this quote said, the meek shall inherit the earth, and Dr. Clark said, and then the strong will inherit the weak. If we don't become strong, we're going to stay on the bottom. We got to become strong. Keep it right and keep it. Yep, there you go. Keeping it right and keeping it. We got to. Look, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all being here. Look, this is truth. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Look, this is true. I don't know about y'all. But when I walk out my door and I go in my community, like I started this new job and I'm working with young fathers who are in the DJJ system. And all of these young fathers have come up in environments that wasn't conducive to that growth. All these young fathers, they don't have no direction. They don't have nothing. I want my community to be better. I don't want young Black people to continue to exist in rundown conditions and conditions where the Black people, the adults around them, didn't choose to be better. We got to be the adults that's choosing to damn it be better. And it start with getting out of our feelings and start with taking real action. I don't care what a small group of other folk did. That don't mean nothing for the rest of them. I want my community to be better, in a better position than it was when I found it. That's me. That's what I'm about. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I started on the Shoulders of Giants because I was teaching in the school one day. I was in the school all day, 7 periods, and none of the Black girls knew who Harriet Tubman was. What the hell? So not only did they learn who Harriet was, but they learned the lessons from Harriet and how to apply them to their lives. And a lot of those young girls who actually listened, their lives improved vastly. We do need each other. If you don't think so, hey, it is what it is. Thank you. Thank you. I support the Black people who support Black people who are about upliftment and empower. We strong. We just forgot how strong we were. You a leader. You a leader is rich and the living is. Oh yeah, talking about what you call it. Yeah. I'm learning to be self-sufficient. No, there you go. T-Wo, we got to learn to be self-sufficient. We rich, we healthy. We got to say those. Not only have these mindsets and these affirmations, but having the actions behind it, making ourselves really rich, really rich. Hey, I listen to all of them. So yeah. We make it and do it to the end. Yep. Better feelings instead of blind loyalty. I mean, if that's what you got out of what I said, cool. Just make sure you be back here. So I may or may not go live on Tuesday. I have to travel to Orlando. So I'm gonna do my best to make sure I can still go live Tuesday. But hey, man, cool. Just make sure you back here Tuesday at 9 p.m. as we go live again, doing what we do. Because we ain't gonna stop telling the truth is over here. You heard me? I appreciate you, Jasmine. Drop any dot. Look, Dr. Amos was dropping them diamonds. Hey, got this. I don't know what they are, but whatever, man. So I enjoy and look forward to this podcast. It's like taking the real life. We have to be realistic. Look, man. Look, like I say, my mentors and my OGs, they taught me like real action, like taking real steps, like really being in the community. Thank you. They taught me to really get in the community and really make waves and really make things happen and really change people's lives. Like, I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for my daddy, if it wasn't for Mr. Keith Turner, if it wasn't for Mr. Sam Carter, if it wasn't for Mr. Leroy Jackson. Like, real tangible outcomes, like real tangible action, like giving me realistic opportunities, like in real life, not just talking about being black, but actually showing me how to be black. I'm talking about some of the most pro-black people I've ever met in my life. Not pro-black in speech, but pro-black in action. I'm talking about 3 to 4 generations of black people's lives have been turned around because of these 4 gentlemen pouring into their communities, actually doing real things, feeding people, educating people, empowering people, giving people opportunities. That's what black people supposed to be doing. And I'm linking with any black person that is about that. I don't give a damn where you from, and I don't give a damn who don't like it. That's how we do it over here. All right. Yep. What's going on? So, I'm gonna mess your name up. I'm sorry, Manuel Kakuka. I'm sorry. I appreciate you being here. I can't read either, but I appreciate y'all being here. T-Wo, I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Lil Young Baby Thug, thank you for being here. I appreciate y'all comments. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Uptight 24, thank you for being here. Dora Fell, thank you. Renee Wood, as always, thank you for being here. Jasmine Rose, thank you. Please come back. Welcome back. We do this every Saturday at 3:30 p.m., every Tuesday at 9 p.m. We tell the truth. Now, some videos may hurt some people's feelings, but hey, it is what it is. Hey, I appreciate you. We disagree, but appreciate you for being here. Sion, thank you for being here. Ronnie, we disagree, but thank you for being here. Bo Paddock, thank you. I support you as well. Thank you. Uptight 24, thank you for being here. Who else? The Bush Woman, thank you for being here. Thank you. Dark Kent, my mans, thank you. Who else? No, I got to give all my shout outs. The Truth Lady, dropping truth all day, thank you. I appreciate you. At Mind Controlling. Hey, but thank you for the comment, because the comment helped me get this video out so I could be weak, but this video is further. You know, people be tough in the comments. Jason Reels Network, my main man, Jason. Stay dropping truth, Jason. Stay dropping truth. That's what we do over here. Stay dropping truth, my brother. Who else? Who else was up here? You know, I got the protagonist. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the comment. I appreciate you. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the banter. Ricardo Float, my main man, Ricardo. I appreciate you as always. As always, Ricardo. Surviving Sun Virgo 2020. Thank you for being here. We disagree, but thank you for being here. It's okay to disagree. That's called critical thinking. Who else? Make sure I get all my O'Neal Dennis. Thank you for being here. Who else? There was a lot of comments. I appreciate y'all. There's a whole bunch of comments up in here. I want to make sure I get everybody who came up in here, because you didn't have to be here. You didn't have to be here. The Bush Woman, once again, thank you. Who else? Make sure I don't miss nobody. I don't like to miss people. Euritus, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for being here. The Real PhD, but thank you for your comment. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. And like I said earlier, I'm definitely I'm gonna get back with you, because we're gonna link up. We're gonna make this thing happen. My my fellow rattler, my fellow graduate of Florida Agricultural Mechanical University from the psychology department, the PH Diva. Yeah. Who else? Boat Precision. Thank you for being here. Hey man, we're gonna keep rocking and rolling. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We already know everybody not gonna like it, and I already know everything that I put out in the public realm. Professor Carl Tone Jones, appreciate you, big bro, as always. Appreciate you. Everything I already know, everything I put out in the public realm is subject to criticism, and everybody ain't gonna like it. Amina Muhammad, thank you for always tuning in, always supporting. Who else we got? Chisel Chipper, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Who else? We almost at the top. I think that is it. So, FSU. So yeah, T-Well. So I am actually going to I'm going to FSU to get my master's out, to get my MSW, because I actually, I got an opportunity. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my master's from Florida State, get my MSW, and then go get my LCSW, because we need more black men in this psychology, in these mental health and these psychological spaces. So yeah, I appreciate you, Cyan. We're gonna keep doing what we do. Do you think it's possible to be pro-black and have a non-pro-black and have a non-black? Now, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that a person is pro-black if they are married or procreating with somebody who's not black. And the reason why I say that, because the black family is the foundation of the black community, and pro-blackness should be about building the black family. I would say that person is an ally to the black community, but may not be a pro-black person. But that doesn't lessen that black person's blackness anymore. I just wouldn't necessarily consider them pro-black, but they would be an ally to blackness. So there it is. That's what I would say. But I'm not saying I'm right. That's just my thought process. I'm from South Africa. The dollar multiplies 20 times here. I say home is here waiting on you. Hey, I say once we get our minds right and shake off these shackles, I believe we'll be able to go intercontinental. Africa will be home. All these places will be home for black people once we get our stuff right and throw off these chains of white supremacy. I'm hungry. I got stuff to do. Let me get up out of here. I love y'all. Happy Saturday. See y'all again live Tuesday. If I can't go live on Tuesday, I will let you know, because I'm traveling. But I'm out of here. I love y'all. Peace out.